Hello, hello, hello. My name is JD, and I'm the creator of the Detroit Consciousness Club. Now, those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I started this channel and it was called the Detroit Heroin Club, and it was geared towards people that were having addiction issues with opiates, and they wanted to get clean and they wanted to stay clean. And even though the mission of this channel will always be, to try to take, hurting, addicted people and to give them ideas on how they can get out of that mess, how they can get clean and stay clean and become the best version of themselves. Now, I changed the name of the channel to the Detroit Consciousness Club just because I realized there's a lot of people that wouldn't sign up for the channel just because they don't want their name associated with that drug on paper, and I understand that. Or there's even some people that have thought, oh, it's some sort of it's some sort of a thing to get us busted or whatever. Whatever the case may be, that's fine and dandy. But anyways, I want to assure you, number one, that this channel was created for no reason other than to share my experience about where I've come from and to use that little bit of knowledge and to help other people get better too. No, I'm not trying to be your guru or your teacher or even to say that I know better than you or whatever, because I want to share a story with you. And bear with me, it's going to be you may even find it a little long-winded, but if you're truly interested in consciousness, and if you're truly interested in trying to make your situation better in your life, and you're trying to become the best version of you, this will all become very relevant to you. Now, you see this cigarette right here? It wasn't too many years ago when I was smoking cigarettes. I drank alcohol, I did opiates, I did heroin, I did cocaine, I would do about any kind of drug that there was. Well, those of you that know my story know that in April of 2018, as a heroin addict of 2 years and an opiate addict for a total of 17 years total, I developed the flu. And in April of 2018, I died from the flu and was revived and brought back. And ever since then, I've made tons of dynamic changes in my life, and I have made a complete 360. And I went from being a 52-year-old heroin addict that lived in a little rented bedroom in somebody's house. Now, I'm not getting rich or anything like that, but in a matter of a couple years, I went from being like I said, a down and out heroin addict that was ready to die any moment from an OD or just from being in bad health. I went from that to being a healthy, happy person who is getting more prosperous every day and who is beginning to see a purpose in all of this for my life. Because that's really what we all want, isn't it? You want to be healthy, happy, you want to be prosperous, and you also want to think that you have a purpose in life, that there's a reason for being here. Okay, now behind me right here, you see these right here? These are all positive affirmations that I read every day. I have one for health, one for happiness, one for prosperity, and one for purpose. Okay, now those are all, I copied those from a life mastery course that I belong with, or that I'm involved in, called the Formula 4 Protocol. It's a total life mastery course that will help you in all those areas of your life: health, happiness, prosperity, and purpose. Now, this is the story I want to share, though. I got involved with Formula 4 maybe about 3 or 4 months back. Okay. Now, already back in 2018, I had died. I had come back. And when I came back as a totally different person. And what I mean by that, all of a sudden, all the things that I used to like, I no longer liked. And the things that I never was interested in, all of a sudden I started to get a big interest in. And anybody that has ever come out of drug addiction or alcohol addiction or anything like that, they will all tell you the same thing, that you have to find something positive to do in place of, all that time that you spent doing drugs. You need to take that time that you spent doing drugs and find some sort of a positive channel to put that energy into. Now, one of the things that I found was art. Okay, this is one of my pieces of art behind me right here. This is another one here. These are a couple here. Art was something that was very beneficial to me in my healing process. Now, another thing that I found, another hobby, and I've talked about it here a little bit, and in fact, it caused me to even make a whole nother channel, because I do have another channel here on YouTube called Boom Crypto. Because during my process of getting clean and staying clean and trying to find hobbies and things to fill up the time, I discovered cryptocurrency. Now, today, Bitcoin is at like $34,000 a piece. And I remember back in around, I think it was 2009 or 2010, I had a few thousand Bitcoin that I had, and I used them to buy a pair of tennis shoes online. And I remember the funny thing was, though, even though I had thousands of Bitcoin, because they were only selling for 9 cents a piece or so, I remember I had to take about 10 bucks worth of cash to put with it, because I didn't have enough. And how crazy is that? And I don't want to get sidetracked on crypto, but I did find cryptocurrency. I started getting into it and reading about it and learning about blockchain. And that was just another hobby for me, another positive way to channel my energy. Now, anyways, back to my story. After I got out of the hospital, now this goes back over a year ago, I remember walking down the street one day, and I had this, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had this idea that I was going to create a life mastery system myself based on a lot of the good changes that I had made in my life to try to make it better. Okay. Over the years, I've crossed all those vices off my list: drinking, drugs, all those things. This is the last one. This is the last hurdle. And the Formula 4 is even helping me for laying this down. But anyway, a year ago, I get this brilliant idea that I'm going to come up with this life mastery course based on my experience. Okay, I was going to talk about, exercise and eating properly and supplements and positive thinking, and there was a million things that I was going to talk about that could all help a person be the best them possible. Okay, now, after I really started analyzing this, though, I kind of came to the conclusion that it was a bad idea, and this is why. Because it's not like this life mastery course. It's not, the idea just came to me, but it was like, for all the mechanics of it, all the things that I was going to teach people about in this course, those are all things that I was going to have to sit down and research, and then compare the research to my own personal experience and all these things. And I realized that basically, even if I put all the due diligence into it, made a really good program, it was still just going to be one guy's version of what he said was the thing that everybody should do. Okay. And first of all, that's really not me to try to impose my views on life and my ideas and everything on other people. I'm a really big advocate for people doing what they want to do and living their life the way that they want to live it. And I think they should be able to do that as long as it's not hurting anybody else. And that's all I have to say about that. I have a pretty libertarian view on things like that. But anyway, I came to the conclusion, though, that this program that I were to come up with, no matter how good it was just going to be one guy's version of, a guy saying, hey, look at me, I've got it all figured out, and you need to do what I do. Okay. Well, first of all, I came to that conclusion. Well, then second of all, and I know this is long-winded, but stick with me. There really is a cool thing. This really is cool. Okay. I'm a huge fan of space. I've loved the idea of space travel and UFOs and extraterrestrials and all that stuff. I've loved that my whole life. I've really felt a strong pull anytime, there's anything about that. I've read so many books and watched so many videos and this and that. And anyways, there's a lot of talk now in the news about UFO disclosure. And I'm not here to get in a shooting match with you on if extraterrestrials are real or they're not real. My view is that they are real. Because first of all, it takes a lot of vanity for a human being to say, yeah, I know that there's or 200 million galaxies out there, and each galaxy has 200 million stars in it, but we're still the only one. We're the only intelligent life form out there. Okay, that's just ludicrous to me to start with. But then, whether you like, I don't know how you feel about Dr. Stephen Greer. When I've talked about him before, some people really talked highly about him, and other people had some bad things to say. And again, I really don't care either way. I bring him up though because if you go to his YouTube channel, he has a section, it's a playlist in there called Witnesses, and there's over 60 videos of people that were either very high up in government or the military or some of these big corporations that are related to space travel, Lockheed Martin, things like that. And anyway, it was 60 witnesses that came forward and they told what they knew about the extraterrestrial subject. Okay, and all these guys concur that there is intelligent life out there and that human beings have been in contact with them for thousands of years. Now, I couple that with my own UFO experiences, and I just take them at face value that they are real and they're out there. Now, Dr. Greer, like many others, has come to the conclusion that if we're waiting for a government or something like that to come out with disclosure and to give us the real truth, that's never going to happen. Because in the United States, even though they're kind of coming around and on the surface, it appears that they're starting to give us some evidence of the extraterrestrials out there, most of them are giving this information out in a way that paints these extraterrestrials as a threat to humanity. Okay, and so Dr. Greer came to the conclusion that the only way we were going to get real, honest UFO disclosure was if the people did it themselves. And he's developed some methods over the years with groups of other people where they go out in the desert and they go to places around the world where UFO activity has been high. And in a nutshell, they use remote viewing to locate a craft, and they use their psychic abilities to vector that craft into their area. Okay, and they've videotaped a lot of these things happening. And there was one encounter in particular, and I may get it a little wrong, but basically in a nutshell, the big group is watching, they vector in a craft of some sort, and unbeknownst to most of the group, a being comes off of that craft and ends up having a conversation off to the side with one of the people that was in the group for a 45-minute talk. Somebody, after they finally figured out that the gentleman wasn't in the group anymore, they actually snapped a photo of they got a photo of this gentleman talking to the extraterrestrial, and I heard the interview with the gentleman that was talking to them, and he was explaining how this alien being was a healer, and that he went from to different planets, and he was a healer, and he healed people. And the gentleman that was giving the story, that talked to the extraterrestrial, the last thing he asked him, he said, "If you're a healer, can you help me with my hearing?" Because he was partially deaf and he had hearing aids that he used and so forth. And I don't know that he got an answer, and the extraterrestrial disappeared. But the next day, the guy's hearing was improved. Now, I saw that picture of the extraterrestrial. Okay, now this is, don't laugh at my crude artwork, but see this guy here? This is a picture that I drew, or I painted, based on the photo that I saw from the experience there. That's what that alien looked like to me. Now, he was a healer. Now, for somehow, when I drew this picture, when I painted it, I knew in my heart that I was going to have contact in one way or another with that extraterrestrial being. I didn't know how, I didn't know when, but I knew it. And that's the neat thing you're going to find about the Formula 4. There is a field out there that I call the informational field, for lack of a better word. It's a field of all knowledge, and either this field that you can connect with was either made by God or is God, and I kind of think it is God. And anyway, you can get information from this field. You can get information from God, if that's what you want to say. But this is the thing. I just knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to come in contact with this healer. Okay, and now tuck that in your pocket, and remember that the story about this life course, that I was supposed to be making. Well, months go by, and I'm meditating and doing some things, and I don't even know how I came upon it, but I came upon a course, um, a life mastery course by a guy named Greg Halpern, who is uh, a world martial arts champion. And he had this program, this life mastery course called the Formula 4 Protocol. And all this stuff is based on the Formula 4. And I hit this link. It said you could get something called the free positive manifestation breakthrough toolkit. And I thought, well, wow, I could use a positive breakthrough to manifest for me. And I was kind of open for that anyway, because if you keep in mind, I had just thought myself a few months ago that I was supposed to come up with this program, when in reality what it really was my subconscious telling me to be on the lookout for this other program. Now, I didn't know any of this at the time. I've just put 2 and 2 together on this recently, and it really was amazing to me, because I realized that this was what was supposed to happen all the time. And what's really neat, if you look at my positive affirmations, number 12 on the purpose is, there is time and space for everything that I need to do. And I expand on that and always say to myself that I'm always in the right place at the right time to do the right thing if I'm paying attention. And so anyways, so my subconscious was telling me I needed to be on the lookout for this thing. And I went and I did hit the free link. I downloaded the kit. I did the first 6-minute meditation that was called the Right Brain, Left Brain Evolve. And I've done a lot of meditating in my life. And up until that point, I had never experienced anything as powerful as the 6-minute meditation called Right Brain, Left Brain Evolve. And I believe they retitled it now it's just called the Instant Happiness Meditation. And anyways, I did this meditation and I was blown away, because I had never ever walked away from, especially just a 6-minute meditation, feeling like my whole brain had been restacked and dusted off and rejuvenated. And I mean, I just felt great. I couldn't believe the result from just a 6-minute meditation. So being that my results were so great, I continued on. I went through all the material that was in the positive manifestation toolkit. I was so impressed with it that I had sent an email off to Greg Halpern and Formula 4 and told him how excited I was. And then on this channel, that was around the same time that I started this channel, and then I realized how valuable the Formula 4 protocol would be, to anyone that was having addiction issues, and how valuable it would really be. So, because once you start getting into this stuff and you really start looking around, you realize, we're just energetic beings. And, energy never is destroyed. It just changes shape and moves around and everything. And we are constantly taking in 25 watts of power from the universe, and we're constantly giving that 25 watts of power back. And this is just a continuous circuit that happens between us and the universe. And if you really think about it, think of the most positive person that you know, the person that's happy-go-lucky, that's always saying good things, and positive things are always coming out of their mouth. What is their life like? Now, I'm sure they have problems just like everybody else, but for the most part, the people that are giving out all this positiveness, truly, they're getting all of that positiveness back. A lot of positive things happen in their life. And if you look at the other side of that coin, look at the person that that's the most negative. Even if they mean well and they're not like a nasty person at heart, either they're a good-hearted person, but they have a pessimistic outlook on life. Maybe that they felt like that life's dealt them a bad hand or whatever. The people that talk the most about negative things are the ones that have the most negative things happen to them. So, I mean, that just goes to show you that whatever we give out to the universe is what we get back. And what the Formula 4 protocol is about, all of these things here, it's about making these positive affirmations with our mind and with our mouth, but then we tie an emotion from our heart to that thought. And that emotion is what puts that thought into our subconscious, and our subconscious doesn't analyze things. One side of our brain is always analyzing things and saying, I don't know, it's the skeptical side. And then there's another side of your brain that just believes everything that you tell it. And that's the one that you want to program. That's the one you give the positive affirmations to. When you start telling yourself all the time, I'm successful, I have money, I have good things that happen to me all the time. When you start saying these things and you start believing them and you start tying those thoughts to some emotions like love and gratitude and thankfulness and all those things, it's those emotions that get those thoughts into your subconscious. And then once your subconscious grabs a hold of it, it starts working to make those realities come true. And once you master this, you can manifest your dreams and your wants and your desires in real time. Now, you can see I'm not living in a mansion. I'm just sitting in my bedroom here in my regular little average house that I'm renting here in Detroit. But you know what? Like I say, a couple of years ago, I was a heroin addict that was ready to die, that didn't have a house of my own, or anything like that. And I owe the Formula 4 protocol a big thanks, for all the things good that are happening in my life. Now, this brings me, though, back to the story about the alien healer and all that. After I got into the Formula 4, and after Greg Halpern saw that I was using his program to try to reach out to other addicts and help and so forth, he made me an affiliate of Formula 4, meaning, if I tell you, hey, the Formula 4 is great, and you end up buying the whole program, which you can get for dirt cheap, by the way. So if you want to buy it, it'll certainly help you. And anyway, I make a few bucks whenever anybody buys something from this, but and I'd be a fool to say that I don't want the money, because you know what, I will take the money. But the thing is this, though, I can't make any money till you get helped first, and until you use this information to better your own life. Until you get what you want, I can't get what I want either. So anyway, though, after getting into it, though, and starting to use it and starting to promote it, I started to have some phone calls and some talks with Greg Halpern. And it was pretty amazing, because he thought my story, he's an amazing guy that has set world records and all this stuff. And he thought my story was interesting enough to use as a commercial for his program. And so he did make a Hollywood caliber commercial about my story. It's right here on the Detroit Consciousness Club. You can watch it. It's a totally amazing story. But anyway, this started a relationship, a friendship between Greg Halpern and I, and I've talked to him. And when you really find out the story, it's pretty amazing, actually. He's had 13 near-death experiences with, I think it was 11 of them before he was 20 years old, and he's about 62 now, and he looks like he's about 30. So the Formula 4 is really working for him, I'm telling you, like it is for me too. And anyway, though, what happened was, he somehow, with some pool chemicals, I'm just cutting to the chase and trying to make this short, with some pool chemicals, he basically got gassed with chlorine gas. And just to make the story fast, he ended up getting help, going to the hospital. But it almost killed him. And through his recuperation process, after he got back home over the next few days, he started receiving this information, and he started writing it down. And he came up with 3,000 separate pieces of information that he says was basically given to him, was basically channeled to him from a Pleiadian extraterrestrial. And when you look at the fact of what this information is, these 3,000 pieces of information are not available in any library or on any website. Some really leading authors and real authorities on consciousness and everything have interviewed Greg Halpern, and they've looked at this information, and that they concur that this is just some of the most powerful revelations that you will ever see in any form and anywhere. Okay? And after he started talking about this, and when I saw Greg's real determination and real passion for doing what he can do to save this planet from ourselves. I mean, because we're destroying this planet with war and famine and I mean, yeah, I don't have to go into it all. You see what's going on around all these crazy things in our world right now. And anyway, I realized that I had met that alien healer. So months and months ago, I was told in my subconscious to watch out for this program that would be coming along, and that I knew I would meet this alien healer. And here they come along, both of them in one package. I've got Greg Halpern, the alien healer, and then I have the Formula 4 protocol, which is, I mean, just a great program. Now, let's shift gears. Okay, that to me said a lot anyway. It said I was destined to do this. I'm now a recipient of this information of the Formula 4 protocol, and it is my mission now to get this information out to you. Now, how powerful is this information? Like I said, a 6-minute meditation blew me away, and there's about 62,000 people in the test market for this material right now. And many of them, many of them, and you can go and watch all the videos because they're all out there, of all these people saying how much the Formula 4 changed them. Some people had total life-changing transformations in the first 6 minutes of watching these videos. And I mean, that's how I felt. Now, I can't promise you that you're going to, get a totally life-transforming, thing happen to you from 6 minutes, but I can guarantee you're going to feel something. And you're going to find down in the description of this video, I'm providing a link where you can get your own free positive manifestation toolkit like I did months ago, and start going down this road and learning about yourself and learning about heart brain health and all the science behind it nowadays, because they have truly found, if you look at all the old school mentors that talked about positive affirmation for years, it really does work, but they found it may take a whole lifetime though to work. And who has a whole lifetime to work on trying to change one bad habit or whatever you're trying to accomplish? If you're trying to make your life better, you want it better now. You want it better down the road too, but you want to start seeing results now. And so the science has shown that you take this old school affirmation, this positive affirmation, and you come up with this thought in your mind, and you picture this thought on what you want. Say you want to start a business. Say your dream is to open a bicycle store. I mean, that's just the first thing I thought of. Don't ask me why. But so you want to open this bicycle store. Well, when you start picturing yourself in your mind already owning that bicycle store, when you start thinking of that and saying to yourself, I'm the owner of JD's bike store, and it's the most awesome bike store in the city, and all these things, your subconscious brain will start working to make that happen. But the thing is, though, it may take a really long time. Recent studies in brain heart health, they call it heart brain cohesiveness, they've found that if you take that positive affirmation, you take that thought, and then you tie an emotion to it, and you send that thought out into the universe with love and gratitude, and those emotions hooked to it. That is what the reality that's going to be created. You keep speaking that positiveness, hooked to that love and gratitude. You keep speaking that out into the ether, and it eventually starts to come back to you just as you have spoken it. And that's oversimplifying it. And there's been a few other people that have had something that they've said similar, but this is the thing. The Formula 4 protocol really breaks it down and gives you the whole mechanics of how to get from point A to point B. There's other places I've seen that have attempted to do stuff like this, and first of all, their information was just man-made information. It was just something they thought up. It would have been like me creating that program, and that would be just one person's idea of what to do. Now, these things in the Formula 4 protocol, these are totally different. These are universal truths that are not debatable. They're not open for discussion on whether they're true or not. What's going to happen is it's not even like you're working a program. I feel like that the first time that I did the meditation, that it basically opened a door in my subconscious, and that informational field came rushing in. Now, you can ask anybody that's on my Facebook. I mean, I've turned into an absolute beast when it comes to research and and investigating things and everything like that. I've got into so many new things now, because what starts happening when you start first um, doing these meditations, your overall goal in the beginning is health, because that's where it all starts. You know, we're energetic beings. Our whole body is ran from these energetic fields. And if we can learn to take control of these energetic fields, you can be your own doctor. I mean, the human body in its perfect state is perfect health. And if you have something wrong with your body, or you're sick or this and that, it's because of something that you've done, or something that you've come in contact with, or something. Okay. And even though I'm certainly not a medical doctor, and you need to do your own research on anything that we talk about or anything like that, you know, you have to take responsibility for your own self. But once you realize some of these universal truths, and once you start to get all this information from the universe that you know in your heart is true, you realize that most of the things that we've been taught in life are half truths, you know, that are outright lies. You know, the Formula 4 is all about celebrating life every day. It's about health, happiness, prosperity, and purpose. And when you start doing these 6-minute meditations, and you start feeling more healthy, and all of a sudden you have a ton of energy and you're just feeling great, well, you can't help but be happy. If you're feeling great and bouncing around and you're positive, you can't help but being happy. So healthy leads to happy. And once you're happy and healthy, and you have all this energy, and you're bouncing around, and your brain starts firing on all cylinders, all of a sudden, man, you start thinking some stuff that maybe you haven't thought of lately about, you know, you're in a pretty good spot. You know, you've got 2 arms and 2 legs, and you're mobile, and you can walk around, and you're breathing, you know, you're breathing clean air, and you have a hot shower, and, you know, and you have food in your belly, and you start realizing how prosperous you really are already, just being the fact that you're alive, and that you have a thinking brain, and you can do whatever you want, and you can live whatever way you want, and you can make your dreams come true. Now, when you start thinking, when you're healthy and you're happy, and you start thinking these thoughts, and your brain is firing on all cylinders, then you start coming up with different ideas. Well, wow, I could get a job doing this, or I could start a company here, or I should invest in that, or I got a great idea that's the next, you know, huge technology, or whatever. You're going to find that being happy and healthy leads to prosperity. And prosperity isn't just about money. And like I said, it's about celebrating your life in the way that you want to. It's about taking what's important to you and celebrating that, and celebrating you and what makes you you. And the cool thing is that every single piece of this information, out of all 3,000 pieces of information in the Formula 4 protocol, it's all based on love. It's based on gratitude. It's based on kindness, thanksgiving. There's nothing, you know, no matter what religion you are or anything, you know, any of the big religions, the major religions, they all talk about peace. They talk about love. You know, there's nothing in the Formula 4 in any way that disagrees with anything from any of the major religions. You know, this isn't voodoo that's going to send you to hell. This is science. These are abilities that we all have as human beings. I bet you don't know this, but I know you've probably heard of remote viewing before. But you know what? Every human being has the ability to do remote viewing. I've started doing it myself. I've been studying on it and learning how to do it. I've actually found a few lost objects around my house using remote viewing. I know that sounds kind of crazy if you've never done it before. But if you wanted to look into that more, there's a movie out it's a documentary called Third Eye Spies. And it's a professor made it, and he's the guy that he led for many years the remote viewing study that was done by Stanford Research for the CIA. And when the CIA saw what good results that they got, then the Army and the Air Force and anybody who was anybody, including all sorts of different corporations, they went into these highly compartmentalized secret studies of remote viewing. And you know what? The CIA released 80,000 documents on the remote viewing project. And that's when the professor, the scientist that was involved in those, made the documentary. And it's pretty cool. You ought to check it out. But anyways, folks, I know I went through a big long story, but this was to show you that, like I said, months and months ago, my brain was alerted to the fact, and I didn't even know it at the time, to be on the lookout for this program that would be coming along, because it's the real one and it's for you. It's the one that's going to work for everyone. These truths, like I said, they're not debatable. They're not, they're just true. And then that's the beauty about them, is when you learn this information, it will ring true with your heart and soul, and you will know this is true and relevant. Okay. With consciousness is a funny thing, because you know what? Years ago, people never thought that a human being could run the 4-minute mile. Nobody had ever done it, and it was in the collective consciousness of the world that a human being could not do a 4-minute mile. Well, then someone did it. And it got into the collective consciousness of the world, of the people, that it could be done. And then once they realized and thought in their brain, because we are what we think, and thoughts are things, once that it was in the collective consciousness that it could be done, then one person after another started being able to do that 4-minute mile. And nowadays, here in 2021, if you're a runner and you can't do a 4-minute mile, and you're that type of runner, well, then you ain't no runner compared to today's standards. Other experiments in consciousness have been done over the years where, and again, I'm not going to go into the whole thing because we'll be here forever, but they've taken with rats and they've put them through a test where, they go through a maze or whatever, and if they hit this lever, they get food or what have you. Well, they took 1,000 rats and they went through there, and it took hundreds of rats before they realized, that you could hit the button and they would get the food. Well, say, just for example, the first time they did the experiment, well, 4 out of 100 or whatever figured it out. Okay. Well, then though, they took a separate group of rats, of the same type of rats, but a different group, and they put it through there again. And then like twice as many, got the gist of it and hit the lever, got the food or whatever. And so then they did it again, and they kept doubling basically like that. And then the scientist talked to another scientist on the other side of the world and told him about his experiment and said, you try it. And he got the same results. So basically it just showed that even with rats, there was a collective consciousness. And once that information was in the collective consciousness, then all the rats that could connect with that informational field were able to achieve those same things. So it's really neat. And the collective consciousness is out there. And what's going to happen is, if you get into the Formula 4, it's my belief that if we could get only 10% of the people in the world using this material, celebrating their own life on a daily basis, being happy, healthy, and prosperous. And when you're happy, healthy, and prosperous, then that leads to a purpose. And if you have happiness, healthiness, prosperity, and purpose in your life, what more could you possibly ask for? Nothing. It's absolutely perfect. So anyways, if we could get 10% of the people in the world using the Formula 4 protocol to raise their own consciousness, that, in my opinion, would be enough to raise the consciousness of the whole world, and you'd start to see things like war and poverty and drugs and violence and things like that becoming a thing of the past. Now, I know it already what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, oh, you're talking about heaven on earth, made by the people, like that's a pipe dream, or like that's I've even had people say, well, if you're not relying on God to do it, then if you're trying to do it all by yourself, then that's what the devil wants. Now, there is truth to that. There's some truth to that. But there's also things in life, God made us a certain way. And these things that we're talking about, like say, they're universal. They're for everybody, just like the remote viewing. If all of us were made by God with the ability to do remote viewing, can we say that that's a bad thing? He made us all to do it. So, it's available to us. So anyways, if you've been looking for something in your life to level you up during this lockdown, if you're addicted to drugs, this can help you. If you're a successful person, this can help you. This is the Formula 4 protocol is all about helping you become the best version of you, whatever that is, according to you. You know, I've been trying to get one of my family members to try this Formula 4 protocol out because they have addiction issues and they could really benefit from this. And my family member always says, you know, I'm not you and I'm not there yet, thinking that this type of thinking is a reward that you get after all your hard work. Well, that's not the case. This is a tool. This is a tool that if you use it every day, it will get you to where you want to be. And you don't have to be me for it to work. 62,000 people around the world are using it already, and it's working for them, and it will work for you too. My name's JD from the Detroit Consciousness Club. Go down in the link down below. Get your own positive manifestation breakthrough toolkit. Do the 6-minute meditation, and you're going to be absolutely blown away. I'm going to leave you with this, and just to gnaw on this and think about it. If you say that you want to change, and if you say you want to change the world, you have to try this meditation out, because I'm telling you, it's that good, it's that beneficial. And this is the last thing I'm going to leave you to think on. If you're really thinking that you want to change the world and you really want to change yourself, how willing are you really to try that or to do that if you're not willing to try just a 6-minute meditation that can totally change your life? I mean, to me, if you're saying you really want change in yourself and the world and you're not willing to try a 6-minute video that somebody is saying can really help you like that, I don't know how serious you really are for change. But I'm not going to assume to know what you know. I'm not trying to be your guru. I'm trying to make you try something new that will help yourself. And in the long run, it will help all of humanity. It's that important. This is JD from the Detroit Consciousness Club. Go down to the bottom, get your free manifestation toolkit from Formula 4. When you click on the link, it's going to explain the whole program. They've got a sale on it right now. If you want to buy the whole program, it's less than, if you're an opiate addict, the whole program is less than what you spend in one day on dope. So instead of buying the dope, buy something for your future. Now, if you did come here because you are having addiction issues with opiates, the first thing you need to do is find yourself some medical attention or a addiction specialist, even if that means going to the ER right now, because you can't do this without medical intervention. Go there. They'll find something that will work for you so you don't have all the physical withdrawal symptoms that bring people back to the drug over and over. Get yourself on a regimen of where you're taking something every day from your doctor, whatever plan they come up with to alleviate those withdrawal symptoms. And once you do, and you take what you're going to learn in the Formula 4, and you start to apply these things to your life, you're going to find it won't be very long at all, and you're going to have months of sobriety behind you. Your life is going to be improving, and you're going to see day by day you are slowly becoming the person that you want to be, the best version of you. This is JD from Detroit Consciousness Club. I love you. Peace.